Alright, it's another vlog. So, tonight I'm going to talk about pyramid schemes. But first, I need you guys to know this. That's right. I wear my mask for safety purposes during COVID-19. I have thoughts on COVID-19 too, but I'm not going to put them out there because it might break the internet. Anyway, okay, so, uh, pyramid schemes. Why am I going to talk about pyramid schemes? I have had some experience with pyramid schemes. How do I want to start this? Okay, so the first time I encountered a pyramid scheme, I remember it pretty well. I was working for UPS. I had dropped out of Winthrop. By now, you guys probably know that I went to Winthrop after I left the Citadel. Is there a bug back there? Is there a bug back there? Okay. Okay. All right. we we are all safe. This is my roommate. This guy is like he. All right, I'm going to talk about pyramid schemes. I'm going to talk about pyramid schemes. Okay, so the first time I encountered a pyramid scheme, I was working at UPS. I was a package handler. I was making $90 a week. So one of my old friends from school, he approaches me from the Citadel. He approaches me, and he actually defended me on my honor case. We built a dream team. Yeah, we built this team. Anyway, we all right. So he introduced me to this group. I'm working as a package handler for UPS, and he says, I want you to come and meet these guys. I said, okay, well, what is it? He said, just come. You know, we're going to talk about making some money. And he tells me the name of the company. I think it was I don't remember what it was. I mean, it wasn't like Herbalife, but like there are tons of them out there. So anyway, he says just come. So I said all right, and he said fair warning, these guys are a little weird. So I was like whatever. I was like I've seen everything. I'm always like this. I'm always like I've seen everything. Somebody tells me oh they're weird, I just ignore it, and I'm like whatever. I always dive in feet first or whatever to any situation. People always say, yeah, you don't want to mess with them, and I'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, so that's probably my problem. Anyway, we get there, and it was it was really exciting. Everybody was dressed up. People in fancy cars and stuff, and it's pretty much like the Long Beach Griffey episode when he's talking about pyramid schemes. And they're hyping everything up, and they're like, "You can make $1 million." And I remember it because like they said, if you're new here, raise your hand, or if you brought a guest, raise your hand. And so this is the first time I encountered a pyramid scheme. This guy pretty much it was like a group of like 100, 200 people, and the speaker pretty much singled me out. He was like, "Chris, are you excited, Chris?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I can't believe I fell for this. I mean, I can, looking back on it, like anybody that's making such a low wage, $90 per week, I mean, they're looking for anything. So, so these guys are talking about making like $1,000, $1,100 per week on average, and I'm eating it up. By the end of it, um, they're trying to get you to like sign a contract, basically, and they tell you, don't worry about it, just think about it. You don't have to sign it right now. But after that, they follow up with you and they're like, are you gonna sign it? And then they're like, you have to pay and whatnot. So bottom line is, I ended up not doing it. Uh, Now, that's not the only time that I encountered a pyramid scheme. I talk about this first instance to just say that it's interesting because anytime I go to these things, it's always super exciting, and the people always seem really open minded. Um, People from all walks of life, it seems like, and they're just. It seems like to me they're just everywhere. Like I send out these applications for jobs almost constantly, and pyramid schemes are just some of them are huge. Like 20,000 members plus, and they're legit. Like it's all right. Amway. Now Amway owns a whole stadium. I think they own like a basketball stadium or something. I don't remember what state it is, but yeah, it's a pyramid scheme. So I'm thinking to myself like, who are these people joining this this thing? Now I know somebody else, and there are a couple books out there about like how market level marketing is the new business model, and how people should get on board with it. Uh, my thoughts are, if that's your thing, then go for it. But I just don't think that's for me. Um, Now, the second time I encountered one of these things, I was in Los Angeles, and the same friend, I should learn from this by now. Yeah, the same friend, he was like, "I got somebody you can get in touch with for a job," and I said, "Oh, that's great. Send him my way," because I didn't have a job. I had no prospects. I went out to California. I actually got a job in San Jose, but then I said, I really want to go to LA. So I got my car, went to LA, and I have a tendency to do that. But anyway, he was like, "I got the perfect thing for you, man." It's the same thing. And I remember I walked in, and this guy was like, just don't look us up on Google. Everything was going great. Everything was going great. It seemed really legit. They had a nice office. A guy came up to me in a suit. Most other people were in a suit. People were talking about making like $15,000 a month. And he was like, just don't Google us. So, of course, I'm going to Google them. So I Googled them, and it said, like, the first thing that pops up, it says, is this company a scam? I'm not going to put this company on blast, although I could. Um, but yeah, the bottom line was, when I Googled it, the first thing said, is this company a scam? And the answer for the first three links was yes. It was either yes, or it says something along the lines of, it's not a scam, but you should just be smart. This type of business is not a traditional type of business, and they want you to pay them. So they wanted, I forget what the amount of money was, but you had to pay them to join their company. And like that's sign number one. Like if you're joining a company and you have to pay them to join, that's red flag number one. Number two is that they pay you to bring in other people to join. That's classic pyramid scheme, multi-level marketing, whatever you want to call it. And I really just feel like I have no data backing this, but I really honestly just feel like it's a cult. I feel, I feel like pyramid schemes are cults, and I'm really annoyed at the fact that these things are all throughout the U.S. Like, if you get on any job site or any like corporate America forum, these things are like intertwined with the regular jobs, and I'm just like, and they're so quick to take people. Anybody who isn't getting hired right away, they'll just be like, "Yeah, come over here." And again, I know some people, they swear by these multi level marketing things, but I just really think that it's crazy. They want you to go on trips with them. They're like one big family. It's like they are a cult. Like, and then yeah. So if you go down, I'm sorry, if they go down, you go down with them. And I'm just like, And what I mean by that is like, let's say the company gets busted. If you're an employee at this company, you're down to square one. You're back to square one, and you could potentially get tied up in something you don't want to be tied up in. So, like, yeah, basically, it's a cult. Uh, so why am I talking about these pyramid schemes? I'm talking about them because I have encountered so many on my, we'll just call it path or journey to find work that lines up with what I'm capable of doing and what I'm interested in doing. And I had to dedicate an entire video to these pyramid schemes. Like, how many of these things are there? Why are there so many of them? And what do these employees think of themselves? Like, all right, I remember I was in Silicon Valley. This was the third pyramid scheme. There have been more. So I meet this guy, and he tells me, I meet him. Oh, I remember I was in a library, and I struck up a conversation with this guy, and he says he seems really casual. He seems like just your average cool guy, just somebody who's being like outgoing. That's what he seemed like. And he says, let me give you my number, man. We can stay in contact." So I'm thinking like, oh, okay. And he uh, he says that the next day he wants to meet up. So I said, all right, that's fine. And he says, I want to give you this book. I'm in the library, so he knows that I like books. So he says, I want to give you this book, and it's I think it was like a Robert Kiyosaki book. It wasn't Rich Dad Poor Dad, but it was about multi-level marketing. I don't remember what it's called. It was called like network marketing. It was something by Richard Kawasaki or Kiyosaki. And I read like a little bit of the book. The next day, he wanted me to commit to joining his group, which was Amway again. And I was like, yeah, I know Amway. And he was like, oh, you know them? He said, well, what do you think about signing up? And I said, no, I don't want to do that. But he had just given me this book. And I enjoy reading materials and I'm pretty open minded. So I was like, well, thanks for the book. And because he told me, he said, I'll give you this for free. He didn't say he wanted it back at first. He said, I'll give you this for free. So after I don't join, after I don't sign up, he says, can I have my book back? And I was thinking, I was like, well, this was a gift, but sure. So he shows up at my place and I give him the book back. And just really weird stuff. Like he did everything he could to pretty much cater to my needs. He these were his exact words. He was like, "Oh yeah, I think you're above average," and I was like, "Why? Why would you? That's so random. Why would you say that?" And like I didn't ask him, but I was just like, "Thanks." So like he did other stuff too, but that one really stuck out to me. I was like, "Who?" I was like, "Who is this guy?" Um. So yeah, pyramid schemes. Bottom line, they're everywhere, and scared of these pyramid scheme cults out here. Actually, all right. So the last pyramid scheme that I encountered was here in New York City, 2 blocks away from here. I was catching a lift. The Lyft app. I was catching a lift. I started talking to this Lyft driver, this woman, And she said, let me get your number and all this stuff. Next thing I know, no, no, I asked for her number. I asked for her number. And she says, I want you to come to my office. And I said, okay, where do you work? And she tells me where she works. I think it was like Primerica. So I look up the company where she works, and I'm like, this is a pyramid scheme. And at this point, I'm just like, what is this? Like, what is with these pyramid schemes, man? Like, so I text her, and I'm like, who in their sane mind is joining these pyramid schemes? And I had to apologize to her. I was like, I'm sorry, okay? These pyramid schemes are just out here, just collecting people into their cults. There's so many of them. I'm gonna look up like how many people in America join pyramid schemes, because they I think this one company had 25,000 employees, and I was just like, how? Like, how do you have a company that's a full on scam and you have 25,000 employees? How bold are you? Like, if you ever think that you're being you're moving in the wrong direction and you're being really bold, just remember that there are people like Bernie Madoff out there and these pyramid schemes that suck people in and have 20,000 employees, and they're like, yep, too big to fail. Anyway, so that's my rant. Drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. I'm working on editing videos. I'll figure it out.